Going back into my screen, now we will talk about the body. This is where we are interested in. So I'm interested in building the application form. So first thing which I would like to add is a name. Okay, now from where I have added this name, I'm adding this name. You can see I'm adding this name from this place, components. So for building your body, for building the body of your element of your screen, you need to use components, or you can also use fields. We will talk about fields as well. We will talk about components as well. So first thing is to talk about components, because fields are comparatively easy to use. First, let's talk about components, and then we will talk about fields. Fields were, for a long time, they were in the beta phase, but now they are finally released, but we will talk about a little later. So in components, I have added my first component here, which is the name component. I have dragged and dropped it into this screen, and now over here I can see the properties of this name component. Okay, I can see the attributes of this name component. So I can set one name API. I can give an API name to this, and then there are some other properties like disabled, field to display, enter name. Let's play with them for a while. So I have to give an API name. So I'll write it as a student name, and then I need to decide what fields to display. I can say first name, last name. I can also add middle name. I can also add salutation. Okay, so when I do that, it appears like this: salutation is not added yet. Why? Let me try giving it in the beginning. Okay, now I have salutation, and then first name, you can give some default names. So here you are setting the default value. So if I give first name as John, so this will be the default value. It can be overridden. Okay, this is the default value you are setting. Then you can give an informal name as well. You can give some label. So current, as of now, the label is name. You can modify it to student name. Then last name, middle name, whether you want to keep it read only or not. Then salutation, what salutation should be there. Let's say I don't want to keep Mrs. I just want to keep Mr. and Miss. Okay, then you can decide whether this component should be visible always, or should there be some conditions based on which this element should be displayed. So all this can be controlled. You can have some validation also. For example, if you want to keep first name, middle name, last name as mandatory, you can have that controlled with the help of validate input. Now in advanced, whatever values you are assigning to first name, middle name, last name, if you want to use it out of this screen, then you have to click on this manually assign variable, and you have to assign these variables, these values to a variable. So we will see that a little later, but these are the places. This is the place where you modify your component attributes and set it as per your business need. Now this is the name. Now I can go ahead and use a date element to set the date of birth. Okay, so I can write it as date of birth, and fine. Then I can use let's say use date and time as well. So I'll put this date and time on the top, and I will give it a name, registration date. Okay, I can set the default value to the current time. For that, I have to use the global variable flow. Under the global variable flow, select current date time, and that's it. So I'm saving my changes, and let's run it. Alright, so this is how it looks like. This is the today's date along with the time, and then the student name. You can give the salutation, then John is coming by default, then give the middle name, then last name, and then the date of birth. Okay, now if I go back to this screen element, and here I can add this address as well. Okay, let's add address and name it permanent address. Okay, Now you want to give any default value for the city or for the country, then you can do that. For country value and country options, there are two things. Okay, so whatever options you want to show for the country, you can put that list over here. So we will talk about it later. And then postal code, province options, in similar thing you can do. Again, you have the option to control the visibility, validate the input, and there are some advanced options which enable you to manually assign the inputs from the user to a variable. Okay, now with this, I'm saving my changes again and going back to my screen over here. And this form is ready. It has name, date of birth, and address. Let's enhance this form. Let's learn along with building this form further. So let's meet in the next lecture.